Hi, it's been quite a while since I've posted videos regularly. I don't know whether I'm going to really restart, but I thought I'd post this as a one-off, just in case anyone's interested. It is my fairly vintage Black & Decker bench grinder, which is currently set up for polishing. And I say fairly vintage, I'm going to guess, could be wrong on this, I'm going to guess it was probably like 1950s, maybe 1960s it was made. So, it could be 70 years old. Now, you'll see that the switch is much more recent and the condition is decent as well, because in the past I have refurbished it, but essentially it's pretty much as it would have been, apart from the switch. Oh, and also it would have had tool rests fitted to either side, and I've never owned those, but don't need them for polishing. If I was going to use it for grinding, then, well, if I was going to use it for grinding, I'd probably want to have guards here as well, spark guards, but it wouldn't be difficult at all to fabricate a tool rest set. That really wouldn't be a problem. Now, the reason why I decided to fit a no volt release switch here is because originally it had a toggle switch, just, I don't know which way it was. Let's say push it right and it goes on. Don't like those, particularly because I tend to have a grinder fairly close to the edge of the bench. I don't want to accidentally brush past and have a 6-inch grinder start up on me by accident, or leaning over, just catching like that. I think that's quite dangerous. And for the cost of a no volt release switch, one of those magnetic contactor switches, really, which they're really not that expensive now. I think, well, may as well have one. Wasn't difficult to fit. Let's just have a quick look underneath. So if you look underneath, I mean, it was just drilled with a circular hole before. So I just chain drilled it and then filed it out to a rectangular aperture to just push that switch in. It's very, very easy. Okay, so that was no problem at all. Oh, incidentally, while we're having a look at it here, the white wires, they feed into the motor. I've previously stripped the bench grinder down because the original wiring was the typical old, I think it was either rubber coated or rubber and fabric. I'm not too sure now because it's been a while, but that had perished. So I basically took the motor apart and went back to the original windings, cut off the deteriorated windings, and then soldered on new tails onto it, and then obviously sheathed it and did the normal sort of test. So that's much better wiring as far as I'm concerned anyway. And plus with the no volt release switch, I think it's it's a sensible option nowadays to have. Not everyone wants one, I suppose, or not everyone bothers with one, but I quite like them. Now, as you can see, I've got it set up for polishing at the moment. If I remember correctly, I think the spindle size is 5/8 of an inch. Could be wrong on that, but it most likely is 5/8. I think that's quite common. And yeah, and then it's got these flanges as well, and that keeps the polishing mop nice and firm. And of course, you need the flanges anyway if you're going to use a grinding wheel too. Like I say, personally, wouldn't be so keen on using this one for grinding. It's not got the spark guards. It's not got the tool rests. Let's just have a quick look at the nameplate, just in case you're interested. So it says 6-inch junior bench grind, Black & Decker, of course, made in England and made in Middlesex by the look of it, or at least that's where their factory was registered, I suppose. Yeah, so 220, 250 volts, 1.8 amps, 3000 RPM. Now, it runs just fine. Doesn't get a lot of use nowadays from me, but there's always been like a slight hunting sound with the when it's running. Slight. I say slight. I mean here it might be because of the bench. It actually amplifies it. But let's just listen, and you'll see what I mean, or maybe see what I mean. It's actually not that bad. For some reason, while it's freewheeling to a stop, it's relatively quiet. But whilst it's under power, there's a like that sort of sound. I don't know whether you picked that up from the video. and I suspect that that is due to a bearing. Now, it's been like this for a long time, so I've not bothered to change the bearing. I did consider doing so because relatively easy job to do. So it's easy to split this apart. As I say, I rewired it in the past, and I could change the bearing, but just, for me, I felt that it wasn't worthwhile. Now, or you're not going to pick up on this, I don't think, from the video anyway, but the sound to my ears is mostly on the right hand side, and if I try to there's no play on that side. Let's see if I can do it here. Yeah, maybe you can just about hear that. So it's part of that. It's just the bench grinder rocking, but let's see if I can do this. Now, the movement of the spindle is not perceptible with my fingers, but you can hear that, or I can hear that anyway. So there is a very slight degree of movement. So I suspect that noise is coming from a little bit of wear on that sealed bearing. It's a sealed bearing. That there's no way that we can adjust it. So as far as I'm concerned, for the moment, just live with it, and then if ever the need comes, then yeah, it's not too difficult just to pull that bearing off and press a new one into place. So not really a difficult job, but something I just felt wasn't really necessary. Other things, to be honest, I don't think there's a lot more else you can say about it. I don't really know why they put a carry handle. It's quite nice. Is it necessary? I suppose sometimes what I've done in the past, if I've been moving this around, I just wrap the cable around and then just tie off the plug there. So I suppose that's quite handy. It's substantial enough in weight. It's substantial enough that it does just sit on the bench. Having said that, of course, that's that's the way I was using it, screwed down to the bench. But it really obviously has, in the past, had a plate covering here, which should be screwed in, which I've never bothered with, because just bolted it straight down. Okay, but it wouldn't be difficult to actually just make a plate there, or bolt it down to a piece of wood, and then that piece of wood then maybe bolt down separately or screw down separately onto a bench. But those are all things that I've not really bothered with, because it's done the task for me. Okay, hopefully, I don't know whether there's anything of interest in there for you, but maybe someone's got one of these. I've seen some pretty rough looking examples on the online auction sites. So I'd say, as far as they go, this one looks looks pretty good. Okay, let's do one last time. Oh, incidentally, because it's no volt release, so if I turn it off like that and then the power comes back on, yeah, which is exactly the way that it should work. That's it. Thanks for watching.